So we've been in pursuit of the perfect IPA for close to a decade now. The first batch of beer we ever did was an IPA kit, and I was super enthused because I'd been wanting to brew for years before we actually did it. The actual end result was incredibly disappointing. It just had this really kind of artificial flavor to the malt profile. The hops weren't where I wanted them. So the pursuit for the white well began.
The year was 2011, a time when Tennessee was still languishing in the dark ages of craft beer. 3 UT grads started out with a simple mission to brew the best beer known to mankind. Ben, Chad, and Brandon formed Funky Chicken Brewing, named after the favorite dance of the 2 most foolish brewers. Their townhouse was soon overtaken by their brewing operation, which was conducted with varying degrees of maturity.
I never really drank IPAs till I met Chad, and we started drinking Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, which is what most of our beers were bottled in, old Sierra Nevada bottles.
After a few disappointing extract IPA kits, they finally struck gold with a brew-in-a-bag clone of New Belgium Ranger, which they dubbed Dunedin because they was a bunch of nerds. What followed was an arms race of increasingly hoppy beers, much to the dismay of Brandon, who to this day remains a hop hater.
Nevertheless, Ben and I are pretty simpatico when it comes to what we want for an IPA.
Along the way, the townhouse brewery went through a series of upgrades, and then the unexpected happened. Chad moved out to prepare for the imminent arrival of the aptly named Interrupter.
This is actually true. This is actually true on Saturday.
The brewing equipment found a new home in Chad and Olivia's once pristine garage, and the switch was made to propane. Out of this garage brewery came a breakthrough, the Blitzkrieg Hop IPA. In what would become the prototype for many future brews, the recipe featured English Pale Ale Malt, a healthy bitter in charge, a mix of fruity and resinous hops, and most importantly, English Ale Yeast.
One of the things that's been probably the most enriching and funnest parts of my life for the better part of almost a decade now has been this pursuit.
Sadly, not all good things can last forever. The fellowship was broken when Ben and Brandon took jobs in other states.
I spent a few years in Georgia brewing by myself, just throwing hops at beer all the time, just either trying to make it more hop flavor, more bitterness, drier, little variables.
And yet, Ben and Chad still managed to meet up and brew, continuing their quest for the ultimate IPA.
We went from trying to emphasize IBUs to emphasizing, oh yeah, we're just going to throw in, 7 different kinds of hops and getting diminishing returns on them, to kind of focusing on 2 or 3 hops at a time, trying to emphasize the better parts and the compatible parts of those.
These experiments culminated in the most elaborate and ill-advised weekend yet, the infamous 5-way IPA day. Using a sack of Golden Promise and nearly 4 pounds of hops, they brewed a session East Coast, West Coast, Brown, and Belgian IPA. But the most foolish part was bottling all 5 IPAs plus a mead in one hellish day. It was also at this point that they became aware of the bottling man's Achilles heel, oxidation. The overhopped East and West Coast IPAs took on a vegetal note, and once vibrant hop flavors took a detour to Cardboard Town. Undeterred, Ben continued his solo hop experiments, culminating in a reinterpretation of the seminal Blitzkrieg hop.
Ben is a metalhead. I am not. So a lot of our beers have some metal influences on them. And
now dubbed Crusher Destroyer after the Mastodon song, this featured high sulfate water, English ale yeast, and way more hops than advisable. Dry, dank, and fruity. This double IPA was a success for about a week. Then, as always, oxidation reared its ugly head. Not ones to be kept down, those funky chicken boys found a solution to this problem in an old CO2 tank from their abandoned kegerator.
it really has been a bit of a journey. The CO2 purging is kind of taking it next level.
By purging the fermenter and bottle headspace, their hoppy beers no longer suffered degradation. And so followed a string of wildly successful IPAs, Ben's return to Knoxville, and the creation of this very channel. And yet, the ultimate IPA remained elusive.
Yeah, it's like, I don't think we're ever actually going to get to the white well. I think that's kind of the point of it, and that's fine. But I mean, think about all the stuff that's happened in the past 10 years almost. I mean, there's been relationships that began, lost, people we knew, people that came and gone. Kids were born. Awesome, let me tell you, most of the time. It's just been kind of incredible, really, that this has been the one constant that we've actually really legitimately been able to, you know, regardless of what's going on, whether it's family stuff, whether it's, you know, watching somebody take the first steps, watching somebody, you know, move on to the next stage of their life, whatever it may be. You know, this pursuit's been going on the entire time, and it's been awesome, and couldn't really hope for anything more. So here's to another 900 years of trying to get the white well. This beer turned out exceptionally well.
It's a kind of hazy orange color. A lot of it's chill haze again, our old enemy. Because when I put my bottles in the fridge, you know, you could see in the bottle that they're clear, and by the time they chill down, you get some chill haze. But I'm not losing any sleep over it. The aroma is just kind of like a really big citrus with like a hint of pine to it. I'm saying like just pure oranges. Not really so much grapefruit, maybe a little grapefruit, but mostly orange. You
know, Ben made the joke during the video of, oh, if we have another juice bomb, I'm going to be really angry. And this is the exact opposite of that. It's not exactly a West Coast IPA, which I'm fine with. It's more of an even split. However, it's got really good dankness, that sharp, kind of bitter flavor from the get-go.
Almost like a tangerine flavor to it. Somehow like the pine and the citrus mix, the piney bitterness gives it just that sharp edge, a little kick. It's dry and bitter without being herbaceous.
When it smells something like hops, it actually smells like an animal's poop. It actually affects me.
Not overwhelmingly bitter or anything like that, and the dankness settles in. Then you follow it up with the citrus flavors. It's ultimately an extremely, extremely well-balanced IPA.
It's a dry beer. It's very dry, but it has like a lot of body to it. I don't know if the Barbarian Yeast is a like high glycerol producer or something, but it just feels full but dry. It encourages you to take another sip. You know, we got a high sulfate content in this one, low finishing gravity, so it's very thirst quenching.
This is probably the closest we've come to achieving the unattainable perfect IPA.
I would find this a very successful brew. Was it us finally getting that white whale? Almost. I mean, we're never going to stop trying. But I do like this direction. Not going for the juice bomb. Going for just straight citrus, pine, intense flavor.
Really, really enjoying this one. Couldn't be happier with it. And, yeah. Take that, Moby Dick. Captain Ahab for the win!
This is probably the last solo beer review video we're going to do in a while, just because I don't like filming these or editing them. So we're going to do grain to glass videos. So we've got 3 that have been filmed. So they're coming. We just got to taste the beers and finish fermenting them.
We're gonna go on, okay?
We got a Pilsner, 2 Saisons, and a lager that we just brewed today. That's why we look like crap and are sunburnt and tired and exhausted. And it might have been those darn kids. What are the other things that you talk about in beer reviews? Appearance, aroma, flavor, mouthfeel? Is there another compound?
The je ne sais quoi.
The je ne sais quoi. What's your best beer recipe?
Well, come to think of it, jalapenos. I always use that. I always put that.
Standby, apparently. Yeah.
I wish I could put jalapenos in your beer, but my mom won't really let me.
Tell everybody goodbye.
Goodbye. Like and subscribe. It's night time. And bye.